Mr Chairman, the voting on that last part bemuses me completely in respect to the Maori Party. They haven't taken one call in the debate. They haven't participated in the select committee process to any meaningful degree, because it seems that the members of the committee were unanimous in reporting back Rahui in favour of the bill, and Rahui Katane, the person who cast the vote on behalf of the Maori Party then, was, according to the commentary that I'm reading, on the Select Committee, and didn't express any concern, according to the Select Committee report, with the bill. But that is, Mr Chairman, a case in point of how the Maori Party runs business in this House. On all of the big votes where it props up the national government, despite the fact that the national government is undermining the interests, despite the fact that Mr Chairman, I haven't finished my sentence. On all the big votes, it supports the government on motions of confidence, and then we get down to a tin tack bill like this part 2 of this bill, and we have the Maori Party stand up there thumping their chest as if they're independent and representing the interests of Maoridom. Mr Chairman, what a farce! What a farce! Now, I am looking in respect of part 1 of this bill, which deals with the purposes of this bill, and I can't see anything from the Maori Party criticising it. So I'm looking forward to seeing if we have a contribution from the Maori Party as to whether and where it is, what is their principled objection to part 1 of this bill that causes them to vote against parts of it, or was it just a mistake by the member in the chair? If it was a mistake, then the member is free to take a call and seek leave of the House to re-record their vote, but I suspect they won't, because it's all about posturing. It's not about principle in respect of that party, and the reality that they can't escape is that a vote for the Maori Party is a vote for National, and we'll be reminding that to electors. Mr Chairman, the purposes of this bill include the vesting of certain assets and liabilities. Now, those assets and liabilities include a wide range of assets which Stuart Nash previously has referred to, and the point that I asked in respect of the preamble, which the member in the chair has not answered, which is whether those assets are going to be transferred across at an inflated price that leaves a risk to the future tax revenue from the banking sector through those assets being realised at a lower price, therefore causing a loss to the bank, which the bank can claim as a loss for tax purposes against future income. Is that a risk that was considered at Select Committee? The Select Committee report, as I have said, is very brief. It only runs to 2 pages, and it just parrots the provisions in the bill rather than critically provides advice on that particular point. And the member in the chair, who is the sponsor of this bill, who is asking Parliament to pass a piece of legislation which may impact on future tax revenues for the government, would, I have thought, have information on that to share with the House. So I ask the member where it is in part 1, and I might have the wrong part. He might say, oh look, it's dealt with in another part, and in any event, I want the member to respond as to how it is we guard against these assets being transferred in at an excessive price to cause a future write-down which creates a taxable loss for the bank and therefore reduces their tax liabilities in New Zealand. I'm also interested in whether they had any submission from the Australian revenue authorities, whether these assets were being transferred across from Australia to New Zealand at higher values than they are shown on the Australian books, because that might be tax effective for Westpac, might be tax effective for Westpac Bank, but it might not be fair on the Australian government either. I just want to see what's happening in respect of tax issues. I am somewhat suspicious here because we have had a pattern of conduct on behalf of the banks minimising their tax liabilities to the tune of many hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars I should say, and they only were forced to pay them following court action in New Zealand courts which found that they had been improperly paying lower amounts of tax.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Thank you.